Hi everyone, hi friends. So today's going to be a chatty video. I'm going to be graduating from New Mexico State in like 2 months. So I thought that I would give y'all the lore behind why, how, who, what, when, where, why. Yeah, because I always knew I was going to get here. It just, man, did it take longer than I expected, and was it really interesting and kind of insane how it happened. Well, in my terms at least. I know people probably, like, if you hear the story, they're gonna be like, huh, like, that's not crazy, but to me it was crazy, okay? Okay. So this is gonna be the lore behind how I got here. So from the beginning, 2020, okay? I graduated high school in 2020, so right off the bat, it already sucked. Graduating high school in 2020 was isolating and horrible and sad and depressing. I don't really like talking about it that much when people like ask like, oh, how was that? Or, oh, how'd you feel at that time? Because it makes me feel like I'm like complaining and like trying to be the victim and whatnot. I'm really not. It's more like, I don't know. It's just the facts of what happened, you know, but I don't like acting like I'm fishing for sympathy because I'm not, but it really did suck, you know, it did. Going from being at school every day to literally being cut off from everything and everyone that you saw on a day-to-day basis, it was terrible. So everything just felt uncertain going into like, where was I going to go to college, the college era, whatever. Honestly, I always knew that I was going to go to college. I kind of really sucked at the planning part. I didn't plan accordingly. It was tough because I was first gen, didn't know what I was doing. The pandemic was going on. Everything was really muddy and murky. So I just did not plan accordingly. I wanted to major in oceanography and I wanted to go out of state. It wasn't working out, the pandemic. So I decided that I would go to a community college, Lynn College in Bryan College Station. And then the plan was after 2 years to transfer out to A&M because they're the only school in Texas that had an oceanography program. I don't know if that's still true, but at the time it was. But guys, I did the one thing that you're not supposed to do, and I don't know why I did it, but I went to college with a boyfriend. And we lived together, like moved into the same apartment together. It wasn't like dorms or anything, no. We were in the same apartment, going to the same school, living together. Ugh, I know. I think about that decision now and I'm like, what were you doing? Starting college during the pandemic was not fun. It was not. You don't have the college experience, you don't meet people, it's all weird. We had online school, or some classes were like a hybrid, so online and in person, but off days and on days. So it was not fun. It really wasn't. There was no time to make any meaningful connections. I mean, you were literally trying not to get sick and not to get other people sick, and so it was dumb, to be honest with you. I didn't have a good time. Listen, school was already isolating, okay? It was terrible. I had no friends. Okay? But at the beginning of our second semester, I'm gonna say like February, something like that. Guess what happened? The boyfriend and I broke up in February, okay? Not even that close to school being over yet. Like, not, the lease wasn't up yet. Oh my god. It was just a terrible time, okay? And it was also around the time that Snowmageddon happened. I don't know if you're not from Texas. It was like a snow apocalypse, basically. It was icy and snowy, and our power grid, that's when our power grid went down. Thanks, government. But yeah, so it was a terrible time. We broke up. I wanted desperately to get out of the situation. I was still in school. I had no money to move somewhere else. It was a terrible time. If you've ever lived with an ex, you kind of know it's just not fun at all. Like, and then the audacity of them not to keep it in their pants. But yeah, it was a terrible time, okay? I don't know what to tell you. Living with it, just giving the ick. Ugh. This is a side note because I'm already like dragging this guy. But okay, things happen. Sometimes you overdraft your bank account, right? The one time this happened to me was when I think we were still together. I don't know. And I went negative and I got an overdraft charge. So to avoid getting more, I politely asked him if he could send me some money to cover just the overdraft. It was like $40, okay? I wasn't asking for like 500. It was like 40. And come to find out, this man told his mom that I was constantly asking for money. No words, because where do you even get that from? When we first moved over there, I was the one that was footing the bill for the rent. I was the one that got a job first. Like, I asked for money one time, and then never again. Like, I'm still shocked at that, but yeah, trash, for real. I don't even know why I did that, guys. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so the breakup happened, whatever. Home for me was 8 hours away. From Bryan College Station to home, 8 hours, okay? It was a terrible time. So I went home for spring break. You have to know something about me. I'm not scared of driving, but if you're from a small town and then you go to a bigger town and then you like start driving a lot, it's literal culture shock. Because when I first got to Bryan College Station, there was like street lights and or stoplights, not street lights. There were stoplights. It was a lot bigger. In town, you probably have you have 2 one-ways, which are the main roads, okay? And then you have everything else is a 2-lane road with both sides of traffic, and only stop signs. There's no stoplights here, none. So it was a huge culture shock. So driving 8 hours after the breakup to my parents' place with my siblings and stuff, yeah, it was really, really anxiety inducing, but I had to do it because I could not spend another second in that house or in that apartment. I could not do it. It was nice to go home. I had a great spring break away from But going back to school just made me realize how truly lonely I was. And it was just depressing. And I'm thinking about it now and I'm like, oh wow. It was a struggle to keep going because the circumstances were not ideal. But I told myself that I had to keep going because I wasn't going to let a man dictate my life, especially not after we had broken up. I'm not going to quit because my heart was a little broken even though he was trash. That's not going to happen, right? So no, I had to keep going. I kept going to school. I kept going to the cursed apartment, trying to make money. I worked at Walgreens at the time, so I was just trying to keep making money. Before the end of that semester, though, I met a girl that was also working at Walgreens. She was also going to Blinn, and she had floated the idea of us being roommates the following year. So I was like, interesting, because I had no idea. I don't know how I was going to afford an apartment by myself, So I was like, interesting. I decided, yes, let's do it. And she also had another girl that she knew that was coming to Blinn, so all 3 of us were going to be roommates. So I went home for the summer. I tried to dust off the ex-boyfriend. And when I came back to Blinn, I was really excited to start something new, something fresh with new people. I was just so excited, okay? I was finally going to have friends. I have never been the type of person that can make any friends. That's true. That's just true. But I was so excited, okay, for this fresh start. Year 2 was underway and I was ready for a fresh start. So fresh, in fact, that I let X come with us all the way. The ex that I lived with, by the way, come all the way back 8 hours to Bryan College Station with my mom and my siblings so he could help me move into this new apartment with my new roommates. Oh my god. It was such a vibe killer that he was there. I don't know why I allowed that to happen. It's just, he was obviously licking his wounds and wanted to make it up to me, and it's just, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I was okay with that. I'm such a dingus. But it happened, whatever. It should have not happened. I was being way too nice to him. He didn't deserve it, at all. Anyway, yes, I moved into a new apartment with some new people. I was finally feeling woohoo, college might be fun, the college experience. By this time it was 2021, 2022. I'm finally going to have friends, yay! So everything was really great for about 4 months. 4 months, okay? What is that, a semester? 4 months, okay? literally a semester. My roommates were my friends and we did stuff together. It was really fun. Like we had parties and it was just nice to be like girlhood, yay, girly girls. Like it was great. And I'd never really experienced that before in that capacity. This time at Blinn with my new roommates, I felt like it was bonding, like girlhood. Like, yes, we're besties, I thought. I want to say around November, I don't know, of that year, my roommate's boyfriend broke up with her. And I was actually going to semi with one of his friends because they were part of the same organization. So I was going to semi with him. We were going as friends. So I was going and this roommate was super bummed, super upset because she had just broken up. It was December. She had just broken up with this guy, or he had broken up with her. She just kind of went off the walls. My roommate straight up asked me to spy on her ex-boyfriend while I was at semi because we were both going to be there together. Obviously, I wasn't going with him, but I was going with the guy that was in the same organization. She asked me to spy on him straight up. Like, I don't even know if she asked me. I think she just, like, told me, like, was expecting it to happen. And because she was, like, texting me, she was like, send me pictures, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no. Like, I'm not here to spy on him. I came here with this guy. Like, I'm not doing that for you. I'm so sorry. Like, maybe somebody else would have, but I don't think that was okay. And like, if he was cheating on her and we were like suspecting it, okay, yes, but it was a breakup. Like, it wasn't, I don't know what to tell you, like, I wasn't gonna invade this guy's privacy the same way I wouldn't do it if he asked me to do something to her. Like, it's just not, I wasn't gonna do that. And I told her no. And like, she was asking me explicitly for like pictures and stuff. And you know what? Maybe if I would have seen and I would have just seen it and she hadn't asked me to do that, I would have gone back to the apartment and been like, oh, hey, like, I saw him. He was with this girl or whatever. Because, that's what friends do. You gossip a little. But no, she, like, just the demand, the entitlement for the information, for the pictures that she wanted. I was like, no, girl. Like, I'm not going to do that. I don't think that's fair. Because it's not like he's doing something wrong because y'all broke up. Like, it's just, I didn't feel comfortable with that. Let me tell you, she did not like that at all. And from then on, whatever bond that I thought we had disintegrated because she literally turned into this crazy person. She stopped talking to me. I was like a ghost in my own apartment. Like, she would not talk to me. She started ignoring me. The other roommate didn't really talk to me either. I mean, I get it because her and the crazy roommate had known each other a little bit longer. So, I mean, I wasn't like butthurt about it, but I was kind of like, seriously? Okay. I was just really annoyed because I just got from one situation where I was living with an ex-boyfriend in an apartment and it was terrible. And now I found myself in another situation where I'm living in an apartment with roommates and one of them is completely crazy and I am literally a ghost. Like, I go to my room literally all day. I barely come out. When I come out, it's like super awkward for me to be in the common areas. Like, I'd have to be on the phone 24/7 with my mom if I was like I'd call her before I go outside to make some food or whatever just so I could have her there because like the roommates were hanging out in the living room and it was awkward for me because it's like you live there but they don't want you there basically. So it was really terrible. I was having a terrible time. I had to call my mom and be like, hey mom, like, I'm gonna make some food, like, do you want to talk on the phone for a bit? So I could avoid the awkwardness and the humiliation that was living in that apartment. Like, it was really terrible. And if you've ever experienced something like this, like, I was completely like isolated just because I said no to spying on some guy. Like, what the heck? Deliberately going out of your way to act that way is just nuts to me. Like, you're not an adult. Like, you don't want to talk about this. You're just, like, yes, I throw my tantrums too, right? But at the end of the day, I know that I have to talk about it because we're adults. Like, we can't just solve everything like if we're 5-year-olds. But no, like, that is how she solved it. Like, we would get in petty text fights over, like, oh, like, I'm buying all this and you're not. Or technically, she didn't even text me. The other roommate had said something about how she said that I wasn't contributing and blah, blah, blah. And I had to text her and I was like, I heard that you're saying that I'm not contributing, but you don't even talk to me, so I don't even know what you need or like whatever it is. Like, don't you think it's hard to communicate like that? She was like, yeah, it is. It's like, what the heck, bro? I'm asking like to communicate. And by the way, everything she was saying was wrong because she was acting like the stuff that I had bought was stuff that she had bought. And it's like, okay, first of all, everything that I'm buying is pretty much from the dollar store. I know you don't even go to the dollar store. I literally would go to Dollar Tree because I had no money. I would go to Dollar Tree, buy the little soaps, like buy little stuff because that's just where I could afford the stuff. And it was just funny for her to try to be like, well, I bought this. And it's like, actually, no, like I bought it. Like I know the type of stuff that you buy. You know, when you live with roommates, everybody has their own preference of like what they buy and what they don't buy. So I was like, there's just no way. And plus half of the time she'd be bringing stuff from her parents' house. So she wasn't even buying anything, you know, like it was just really petty and isolating and humiliating really when I think about it. Because why did I stick up for myself? Like, why did I let this happen? But, you know, I was just sad because I thought I had friends, and then at the end of it, I didn't. I didn't have any friends, so it was just really sad. On top of all that, like I said, I was just broke. Work was just okay, so it was all kinds of hard on different fronts, you know what I'm saying? Of course my parents would send me money. I never asked for it. I didn't like asking for it, you know. I had this feeling that I had to figure it out on my own. But of course, you know, moms can tell when something's wrong or when you need something, so she would send me money to buy groceries and make me send pictures of the groceries once they were done. So I'm glad that I had a support system back home, even though there I felt so isolated, you know? Also, in that time, I was having a super hard time in calculus 2. So it was just a spiral of like I felt not good enough and like I was failing. It was just a bad time. Well, I'm gonna be real honest. I actually couldn't pass Cal 2. I didn't fail it either. I just dropped the course because I just knew I wasn't going to do well. So that was going on. The whole roommate thing was going on. So when the time came of like, where are you transferring to? Like, what are you gonna do after this? I literally just wanted an out. I needed an escape. So I decided to finally put in my application to the University of Washington, i.e. UW. It had been my dream university for a bit because their oceanography program, they're right there by the ocean. Like, I just thought it was going to be amazing. Like, Seattle looks great. So I started my application, you know, my essay, and I was even in contact with a lady there. I can't remember what I was talking to her about, but I was in contact with her. I want to be an oceanographer. I mean, I still want to be an oceanographer, okay? I feel like I gave up too easily, but that's a regret for another time. UW was the place to go, and I'd been dreaming about it, and I just wanted to leave all of this mess that I was in right now behind. I was filling out my transfer application and doing my essay for UW. I know I should have asked for help, and I didn't because I kept getting those like emails like, oh, come to the transfer application workshop, come to this workshop for transferring your essay or whatever. And I just didn't do it. I don't know why I didn't ask for help. I should have asked for help. But again, I had this feeling that as first gen, I had to figure everything out myself, and asking for help is a sign of weakness. And so I tried to do it all by myself, and you know what? It didn't work out. It was really just, I didn't put my all into it, and I should have. And well, you know what? Hindsight is 2020. All you can do is learn from it and move on, right? Obviously, I didn't get in. I got rejected. So it just felt like the world was completely against me, and that everything was terrible, and life was just, I don't know what was happening, okay? I didn't know what was happening. I mean, I was just uncomfortable in my own home, uncomfortable at school. I was not going where I wanted to. I didn't really have many options left, you know? Because I was still taking that Cal 2 course. I was going to take it during the summer because I wasn't giving up completely, but it wasn't working out, so I had to figure out something else. So I dropped Cal 2 earlier in the semester, and then I was going to take it again during the summer. So I didn't want to go back home because, again, I still had dreams of maybe doing something out there. So I didn't want to go back home just yet, even though I had just got rejected from UW. I was going to try Cal 2 again, and I was going to try to get a different job. But it really sucked out there to try to get a job. It was just really messed up. because I feel like I had messed up experiences trying to work out there. Because you always hear like, oh, people don't want to work. And it's like, no, we do want to work. You're just terrible. To give you an example of what I mean by that. Okay, so my first year I worked at Walgreens. And it was an okay job. It wasn't terrible. But that Walgreens closed at midnight. And I had specifically asked not to be closing during the week because obviously I had school and I had some pretty early classes because I like early classes. And so I was like I had specifically asked not to be on the closing shift at midnight because you don't get out of there at midnight. You get out of there like at 12:30 or like closer to 1, you know, depending on what you have to do. The manager just wasn't working with me, and it caused me a lot of issues with like school on like assignments and stuff. So I had to quit. I couldn't do it. So then I started working at another place after I came back. It was called Tuesday Morning. Tuesday Morning, it's like a discount store. It's kind of like Home Goods, I guess, but less. I don't know. So first of all, the pay sucked. I think I was earning like $8, which I guess is better than minimum wage because the minimum wage is literally the same cost as a deodorant stick, like literally like $7.25 in Texas. So I was making like $8 an hour. And so when December came by, I asked to take a couple days off because I was going back home to see my family. And everything was fine. Like the manager said yes, okay, great. So I left. And when I came back and I saw the schedule, I realized that I wasn't on it. So I texted him and I was like, hey, like I'm not on the schedule. Like, can you please put me back? I said I would be back during this time and now I'm back. Like, put me back. And he was like, oh, actually, we're not going to need you anymore because this other girl, the seasonal employee that they hired, she's been working, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you said that this was okay to do. Like, and now I'm basically getting, like, fired, basically. So that really sucked because I could have stayed longer with my family, number one. I'd have to be all alone on New Year's. And then I just didn't have a job now. So that sucked. I mean, again, I was broke. That's why I was broke. So, and then I kept looking around and I was going to get this job at Sam's Club. And so I went in I submitted my application and everything. I went in for an interview and I got interviewed and this guy was like, no, yeah, like you got the job, definitely. Like, we'll send you an email and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, great. So I waited for the email. I got an email saying that I'd been rejected. So I texted this guy because he gave me his phone number and he was like, no, like you should be getting this email. Like, let me try to fix it. Like, blah, blah. And it just kept going back and forth for like ever and I just never got it. And then like I finally was like, hey, is this happening or not? Like, quit stringing me along. And he was like, nothing, actually. He was like, nothing, because he ghosted me. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I want to work. Like, put me to work. Like, please. So long story short, I couldn't get a job to stay the summer. So with all of that, rejection from UW, not being able to find a job, everything that comes with that, the decision was made for me, right, to move back home. So move back home I did. I was so ready to leave. You know, because the job rejecting me, like, there's nothing left for me. So I was so ready to book it out of there. I was so ready to leave. I packed everything into my 2007 Mustang, okay? Everything that I owned in that little car the night before I left. And I called my dad and I said, hey, Dad, because he used to wake up really early. And I was like, hey, Dad, I plan on leaving here at 3 a.m. Please wake me up. Call me to see if I'm awake so I can get the heck out of here. And he was like, okay, I'll call you. So yeah, I didn't need him to call me. I was up at 3. He still called me and I said, hey, Dad, I'm awake. Don't worry. But yeah, it was 3 in the morning. I was ready to get out of there. I left. I booked it. About 8 hours later, I was at home. It was hard at first being back, but it was nice being with my family, you know. It makes you think about all the unfinished business that you thought you had, you know. So that summer I got the same job that I had in high school, which my dad was the manager at the meat market in town. So I started working with him again. I was still trying to take calculus. I had to end up dropping it though. And after I dropped it for the second time, I was like, you know what? I think I'm done. I think I'm done for now. I actually didn't know anything. I didn't know that you had to apply to graduate, like apply to get your degree. So when I figured that out, I was like, oh, okay. Because I still was getting my associates, guys. Like the calculus wasn't The calculus was something that I had to do to achieve being able to get into an oceanography, but I was double majoring. So, in an associate's degree, right? Double majoring in an associate's. So I got my associate's in liberal arts. So I didn't know that you had to apply for the degree, so I finally applied for it and I finally got my degree. It was actually kind of funny. My mom was so excited. She got the degree first and they were like, let's go to Pizza Hut. They took me to Pizza Hut under false pretenses. And when I got there, my mom was like, and she like gave me my degree and I opened it and I was like super excited. I started crying. I was really excited. I was proud of myself, you know. It was an eventful 2 years and not in the best ways. So toward the end of the summer, my dad decided to retire. So I decided to start looking around for a job and I applied to a few like bank jobs because I didn't want to do like retail anymore, and I got one as a teller, and that started my adulthood. It got serious and it low-key became a career. I mean, it's not the career that I want, but it low-key became a career. So for 2 years I just focused on finding myself, figuring out how I work in this adult world. I met my mans through work. He would not leave me alone. I'm just kidding. I mean, he wouldn't. I like to rub it in sometimes. He would not leave me alone. So yeah, we met and it's been 4 years. I also met one of my closest friends at that job. So, you know, a lot of good things came out of me coming back home. I started thinking about seriously going back to school about 2 years into that job. It was always going to happen, you know, like people asked me and I said yes, like of course I'm going to be going back, like I just don't know when, I need to figure out some stuff, you know, for me first. It was always going to happen. My mom didn't sacrifice everything that she did to get me and my siblings here, for us to be able to have this opportunity, for us to have an education that, you know, she was never able to get. So it was always going to happen. It was always going to happen. I wasn't sure about the timing. I knew it was going to be online school because I had a full-time job. I needed the money. I mean, I can't just quit my job and go to school full-time. Like, I need to find a way to pay for that school, you know? So I knew it was always going to be online school. I wasn't going to be in person. I could not pay for all of that without a job. In this economy? Mm-mm. I just wanted to check out my options, so I did some research. I looked around and I found out that UTEP and NMSU had really great online programs. So I reached out to both, and ultimately my decision was based off of how they replied and responded to the questions I had. Basically, I emailed both of them, and NMSU was super responsive, and they actually called me, like gave me a call immediately and answered all my questions, and it clicked. I was like, yeah, this is it. So I applied to NMSU and got in. My major was not going to be oceanography. It was actually, I was going to be majoring in communication studies. And I know you might be like, whoa, like that's a big shift. Like, how do you go from trying to do oceanography, being low-key a STEM girly, and then communications? Like, how does that work? So I've actually taken like communication courses at Blinn, and I really, really liked it, and I also really enjoyed like the professors and everything, so it was always kind of in the back of my mind. And also I really enjoy a discipline that you can use literally anywhere. There's just so much that the umbrella of communication like encompasses, so it's just, I really liked that diversity, and I knew that was my next. If I couldn't have oceanography, I wanted communication studies. So that's how that came about. So I finally started going to school full-time about 2 years ago. And I also was working full-time. It's been tough because obviously you work full-time, you go to school full-time, and even though it's online, like, you don't really have a break, you know? You work all day, you come home, you gotta do homework all night. So it was tough. Yeah. Of course, this was something that I brought on myself. Like, I wanted this, and that's fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that it's tough. And I'm happy that I'm getting it done, but some days are a lot harder than others, let me tell you that. I'm finally coming up on the end of it, though. 2 years of doing both full-time work and school. But you know what? We keep trucking on and we keep going, okay? And we get through it. These 2 years, it feels like such a long time ago, but also, like, not that long ago. It's just slow and fast at the same time, okay? I don't know how to explain it. It just is. For me, finally getting my bachelor's degree after all that trauma, It means resilience and strength, you know? And I know some people might not equate it to like strength because like it's like, come on, you just got a degree, like it's not a big deal. And I understand that, but to me, it took a long while to get here. I mean, I graduated high school in 2020. It is now 2026, and that means it took me 6 years for this journey that I knew that I was always going to be on, and I knew that I was always going to complete. It took me 6 years to complete it, and it's just a culmination of all my hard work. And like, this degree is going to be dedicated to like everyone in my support system, you know, like my parents for not letting me starve, like my siblings for calling me when they knew something was up, and you know, like my mans for being like buying me a standing desk for me to do my homework, like supporting me in anything that I do. It's just my closest friend like calling or like supporting each other because she's going to law school. Like, we are all of the support that I received is obviously a big part in why I could do this, you know? So it's something that I've wanted for a while, and I'm really, really happy that I have finally am going to finally achieve it. And you know, like, no one in my family has a degree. I am the first. And that's an honor that I don't think you can put into words, you know? Like, I'm honoring my mom for the sacrifices that she made and how she pushed me, and I'm honoring my dad because he was instrumental in our lives here. I'm honoring my siblings because I want them to look up to me, and I want them to see that it is possible, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. Like, you're gonna get there. You just gotta put your mind to it. And I'm honoring my mans. Like, I can't think of a better honor than to be like, hey, I did this, and I could do it because you supported me and you believed in me, you know? And I'm getting emotional, but it's true. And yeah, it's an honor to be able to honor all of my ancestors that didn't have this opportunity, and to honor my mom who gave me the opportunity, you know? It's because of them. It's because of the sacrifices and the support of the support system that I have around me that I'm going to be able to graduate in 2 months. So I didn't think that this dream was going to be possible because of everything that happened, but come with me for this chapter of my life. It will be my grad diaries. Forever have an archive of this time of my life. I know it was kind of long, and I'm sorry I was really chatty. I'm so happy that this is happening, and I'm happy to take you along with me so you can see what's happening. And I just want to say, like, don't give up. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I'm learning this. Like, I'm barely learning this, okay? Because I am that impatient person that needs her dreams to come true right away. But I'm learning this too, okay? It doesn't matter how long it takes. If you want it and you work for it, it's going to happen. And you know what? Who cares how long it takes? Because at the end of the day, like, that just shows your resilience and your strength and how good you are at making something happen, and how you're not willing to quit. And I wasn't willing to quit. And so that's how we're here. Who knew I had so much to say, right? Thank you so much for watching again. Let me know if y'all have any questions, anything at all, that you have anything to say about this. And yeah, it was fun talking to you guys. I hope you had fun too. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.